We are listening to Dr. Brown, and he's getting ready to come on board with us here at wvoe in Chapel, North Carolina. I want you to keep those dials in tune. Dr. Brown, you are on the air.
All right. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I always appreciate that wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, listeners. You're locked into WVOE, the voice of Ebony, where your health is our heartbeat. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Brown, president and founder of PressureMD Academy, welcoming you to another enriching session of Health Facts, the show where wisdom meets wellness and knowledge is always in season. All right, so we're here for another wonderful show. This time we're actually going to be doing another one of these two parts. I'm starting to like these two-part shows, right? Where we do a little bit this week and then do a little bit more next week. Keep you intrigued. So that's what we're going to be doing this time. We're going to be talking about a topic that will, it's still surface level. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can do with it, but we're gonna spread it over two shows and hopefully bring you a little bit of knowledge and a little something that's different about the way you think about your health. Okay, and so for today, what we're going to be doing is we're actually looking into, because of course we do, I do lifestyle medicine. And there's been a lot of talks about, actually recently there's been a change in our food pyramid. And one of the, you know, you know, even if, whether you agree or disagree with the way the food pyramid has been changed. One of the things that I think everyone should really focus on is the message that's coming out about the food pyramid, and that is eat real food. Okay. And, as a lifestyle medicine doctor, or at least part of that training, one of the things that we do is we promote a whole food, plant-based or plant predominant diet. And that whole food part kind of, refers back to this whole concept of eating, food that's as close to natural or minimally processed as possible. And so when the government says, hey, folks, we want you to eat real food, that's actually a very positive thing because a lot of people eat, processed foods, processed meals, and that stuff really kind of it really, interferes with the way our body works because it's really, it has what we might call, marketing is marketing as differently, and it also interferes with our body a little bit differently. You know, while technically speaking, if you were to eat this and you were able to restrict your calories, you might be okay. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of this food is manufactured to be what we call hyper palatable. And that's a big old word, but really what it is, it's designed to, the food is designed for you to eat more of it. So whenever you open a bag of chips and the commercial says, hey, once you start, you can't stop. I mean, it's engineered that way. And a lot of times that's taking out the fibers, taking out the nutrients and stuff of that nature, is adding salt, sugars, and things that really taste that we're wired to want to taste. And so to counter that, one of the messages is to eat real food. Well, and we say that, but a lot of people actually, because of back in the day we used to be agrarian, everybody used to grow their food, but nowadays most people you go to the store, you grab it, and then that's one of the reasons it makes it easy to grab these manufactured foods, right? So now, what we're going to cover for the next two shows is we're going to cover a topic called gardening. Okay, and I think we did this. I think it was last year we covered this topic, and showing the relationship between gardening and our health. Because a lot of times when you think about gardening, you're like, oh, actually, a lot of people when they think about gardening, they really think about farms, big farms and tractors and stuff of this nature. But gardening is actually much done on a much smaller scale. It's much more intimate, and it can be done really by anyone. Anyone can do gardening. Even if you don't have a big yard, you just have a little patio or something of that nature, you can still garden. Technically speaking, you can still garden. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, actually the next few shows, we're going to talk about the benefits of gardening. Okay. What are the benefits of gardening, the health benefits of gardening? Because if I tell you to eat whole food, but you got to get your, maybe you have difficulty getting to the store, something of that nature, there's things you can do on your own to actually increase your access to whole foods. And that method is going to be called gardening. So from soil to soul, gardening as lifestyle medicine. And this is to make people understand that this really is kind of part of what we're going to do. And for the folks that are online, we are actually going to, I know you like looking at me. Look, I even got a haircut for everybody today, but we're actually going to do a little bit of a slideshow. We're going to see how people like, actually looking at slides instead of just looking at me. Okay. So hopefully it's going to work for us here. So today we're going to talk about from soil to soul, gardening as lifestyle medicine. Okay. And so and like I said, we kind of talked about the reasons why we're going to be doing that. And so one of the things we want to, kind of a key thing that we want to teach is that gardening is a combination. It's movement, okay, as you're getting the garden ready or you're pulling the weeds. It's mindfulness as you kind of take a retreat away from whatever you're doing that day and kind of focus on, the seeds that you're planting, the plants that you're nurturing, kind of watching, really the fruit of your labor. So you put the labor in, and the fruit is going to be this vegetable or this fruit that literally grows and gives you some nourishment. Okay, and then nutrition, of course, the whatever comes off of this is something that can be used for your own nourishment. And so we want people to think about it. It meets people, the other thing is that it meets people where they are, okay? Because, when you think about it, it's like, kind of like I said, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a big, large garden. It can be container pots, but wherever you are, you can grow a little something, okay? And then also, gardening is kind of medicine without a prescription, right? So it's a way to address what the issues that you may have or that you may be developing, but to do so without a pill, do so without medicine. Okay, a lot of time when people think of improving their health, they think about gyms, they think about medications or some sort of strict diet. But really, we're going to do this. We're going to do this really simple, and that is going to be, we're just going to focus on this garden thing. Okay, all right, so gardening as physical activity. And for those that are online, of course, you see that, we kind of cover it's going to be physical activity, stress reduction, mental well-being, and daily routine with purpose. So that's kind of the benefits that we get out of that, right? So, gardening is real exercise, even if it doesn't feel like it. All right. Gardening is real exercise. So what are you doing when you garden? Okay. So you're digging, you're planting, you're weeding, you're watering. So it's functional. So you're actually doing things. It's functional fitness. It's functional fitness. So you're actually doing things there, right? So you're actively doing things. And it can, some estimates are that you can burn 200 to 400 calories an hour depending on what you're doing there. And so some of the things that it does, it kind of improves a lot of things. So it improves balance. So, of course, you're standing, you're leaning over the whole 9 yards. It improves grip strength because you got to, hold on to your garden tools and you got to dig through the earth. So that's getting you a little bit of grip strength there. Core strength because of course you got to hold yourself as you kind of bend down and squat and things of that nature. So you're getting some of those exercise in it. And joint mobility, of course, and this is just because you're moving. The more you move, the more beneficial this could be. Okay. All right. So this is some of the things that we're getting out of that. So, and then we know that regular moderate activity can reduce systolic blood pressure. So we know that. And as a matter of fact, I think we might do a journal club where we kind of cover some of the data behind the role of physical activity and rolling and decreasing systolic blood pressure. Okay. And gardening counts as moderate intensity exercise. And, especially for people who dislike traditional workouts. So you might not like going to the gym. You may not like riding a bike. So if you don't like those type of things, you want to get some activity in, hey, grow a garden, or set yourself up for a garden. That can be very helpful. So just think about this thing. I mean, if you can squat to pull weeds, okay, you got squat to pull weeds. If you can carry soil, that's that weight. Or water your plants. You're exercising your heart because remember, the soil is a weight. It's a weight. So you don't have to grab a barbell, a dumbbell. You can carry that. The water, same thing. Especially if you're carrying, if you don't have a hose pipe and you got to carry the water, guess what? You're taking a bucket. That bucket has water in it. That's a weight. Now, when you walk over, it's addressing your core strength, your core strength, your arm strength, and then you take that over there and you pour it into your plants. So therefore, you're getting us a little bit more exercise in there. So you're exercising your heart, you're exercising those muscles. It may not be the traditional way that we think about this, but that activity is an exercise. Okay. So we want to think about that. The other thing is about this is that remember this is stuff that's suitable for all ages. Okay, so whether you're 8 or you're 98, you can get in the garden. So this is one thing that it does not have an age restriction. As a matter of fact, it's kind of a family thing. So you can bring your kids to the garden. So like I said, hey, they can help you dig a hole and put the little seeds in. It helps them to count, and it helps to build a bond within a family. Okay, so. Okay. All right. So that's the gardening as physical activity. Talked about that for a little bit. And then, so you want to think about a little bit about gardening and mental health. So what mental health can you get out of this gardening, right? So, gardening doesn't just work your muscles. It also calms your nervous system. Okay. So, and in doing this calming, because like I said, you're in your garden, yeah, it gives you a chance to kind of get away from everything else. This is not something that requires, higher level thinking or anything that nature. And for the most part, like I said, you just, hopefully going out in the sun, get a little sun or getting some fresh air and just kind of stepping away from that. Remember, gardens are something that are, worldwide and throughout time. Gardens have always been a place where you can go and relax. Okay. So if even if you're reading the Bible, like I said, the Garden of Eden, Garden of Eden was it was a place of relaxation until somebody, until we decided to eat the fruit, right? But like I said, it was a place of relaxation. There was no stressors or anything mentioned there, and then of course there are famous gardens throughout history and throughout the world. So we want to remember that gardens kind of calm our nervous system. And when we calm that nervous system around, we're lowering stress hormones. And I think we mentioned before that those stress hormones can be quite harmful in a number of different ways, raising blood pressure, leading to insulin resistance and things of nature. So you want to lower those stress hormones. It can improve your mood and your focus. Sometimes you just got to get, the weight of the world off your shoulders. And you can do that in your garden as you tend to your plants that you planted, right? So that can kind of help you there. And then there's some things that feel like being exposed to the soil can kind of increase serotonin and stuff of that nature. And then if nothing else, it creates routine purpose and connection. So you have no matter what's going on in your life, you got to get in there to water your garden, or maybe need to pick your fruit. So it's a way to kind of get away from things and to kind of relax the mind. Okay. All right. So yeah, so lowering stress hormones, it improves mood and focus, and it encourages mindfulness. So these are benefits you can get out of your garden. And some people, like I said, they'll say that, gardening is one of the few times that they can get their mind to slow down. Yet again, you're getting away from, the stresses of the world, and you're focusing on something that you like to do. All right. Okay. All right, Ed. And then, we could talk about things like, gardening and aging well. And the reason why we talk about this, kind of like we mentioned before, there's no real age limit to a gardening, but whether, like I said, from the time you really can walk, I mean, you can hold tools, you can participate in the garden, even if it's, granted, I grew up on a farm, but like even back then, you would you would have the young kid, like I said, even if they're just barely walking, you can have them pick up a seed, put it in the hole, and like I said, even have them, if you really want to get them excited, you have them cover up the hole. Okay, so that's something that you can do with the kid. And then, like I said, this is developing the child, and it's helping to create a connection between the adult and child, the parent and child, right? Like, so this is a family activity because you're really kind of training your child, and when it can go from that simple dropping in a seed, because what you can do at that time, you can teach the kid to count. Okay, I mean, hey, get me three beans or whatever, and so now the kid's got to count to three. One, two, three. Is this right? Is this right, mommy? Yeah, it is. Ta-da. And you give them a little hand clap. And now the kid is you're reinforcing learning at an early age in a practical manner. So you can do that. It also, like I said, and even as they get older, now you can get them to learn responsibilities. Hey, Johnny, it's Wednesday, you need to water the garden. And so now Johnny got to go get the water, carry it out there. And like I said, this kind of helps with some of the higher level thinking. So the garden has a number of benefits for the individual, and really, if you got a family, it really kind of helps the family as well. But kind of going back to aging well, so the garden also helps with aging well. It improves balance because, like I said, as you're carrying things, as you're squatting, as you're digging, these are all strengths that things that you need. The core strength is definitely needed, and also grip strength. Grip strength is there's a link between grip strength and longevity. So don't underestimate that. The digging of the soil, the carrying of water, the carrying of soil, all that stuff is related to your health. And then it also helps to maintain independence because this is a routine. So even if you say that, like heaven forbid, like say you have some memory issues or something of that nature, but this is a routine that you've been doing every year, a lot of times they will be able to continue to maintain that until, say, if they have a dementia or something like that, until it's really advanced. So it's a way to kind of keep you engaged mentally as well as physically. Okay. All right. And then, we'll talk about this a little bit more the next time, but a lot of times when it comes to gardening, a lot of people can get intimidated and think that, you need to have, yet again, a big setup, either a big yard, or you got to have, special containers and things of nature. But really, when it comes to gardening, one pot, you can go get you one pot, put your little soil in it, and find, put some sort of vegetable in there, vegetable herb in there, and just use that as a starting point. It could be one pot count one pot, it could be one plant. Any of that stuff is a great way to start. Then, like I said, you might do that for a season, and then the next season you might get two. Okay, so that's the way that you can get started with this garden. And as you grow in terms of what you're doing, this also can help you build social connections because, once you start gardening, then you start talking to other gardeners and they can give you advice and you can share your experience and they'll share their experience. And like I said, that can help you as you go forward in getting set up with the garden for the next year. So yet again, let's go over some of the benefits of gardening. Okay, so we got the physical. Okay, so you got the physical benefits of all the activities that are needed to set up and to maintain a garden. You got the mental. Okay, so you got mental, getting the mind off what's going on in a particular day, reducing your stressors. So that's going on there. We got social, just mentioned that, and that is, the ability to have an activity that allows you to make a connection with other people. So you got that going on. This is going to help you age well because this helps to build routine, helps to maintain those muscles, and therefore it is beneficial from that standpoint. And then also, it helps with the family because it's a great way for a family to have a common activity that they can grow around. I mean that they can help them maintain and reinforce their bonds. So these are some of the things that are very beneficial or benefits that you can get from gardening. And and remember also, like I said, not only does it have to be, not have to be elaborate, you don't have to do the whole, if you have a bigger garden, you don't have to do the whole thing at a time. Remember, if you got a decent sized garden, you can go out there 10, 20 minutes. All right, let me go 20 minutes in the garden. All right, do about 20 minutes, come back. And then the next day or the day after, you go out there and do another 20 minutes. So you don't have to do the whole thing at a time. So like I said, that's the other thing about it is what we call eight. And it's not like you have to do everything at the same time. So that's another thing as well. And remember also that the minutes that you spend in the garden count towards that physical activity goal. Like I said, 150 minutes of moderate exercise a day. Also, we also usually recommend people get 10,000 steps in a day. So it goes for all that stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to turn this into a show. And like I said, we got two shows there, and that is because this is a way of thinking differently about your health and understanding, kind of this holistic approach to your health. So your health, your wellness is more than just when you're sitting in a doctor's office. Okay. It becomes a way of life. It's not just, oh, I'm just going to get these 10,000 steps in, check mark and keep moving. It's how do I get these 10,000 steps in? Maybe some of them are at work. Maybe some of them are as I do my daily activities, and then maybe I can, it allows you to find another way. The garden is another way for you to get that activity in a reasonable manner. And then also thinking about holistically, finding activities that can bring together multiple areas of your life and bringing this stuff all together. And at the end of the day, you might get a tomato. Okay. So that's the way to do it. So that is pretty much our show for today. And next week, we're going to talk a little bit about, the kind of food that you can grow to kind of help, kind of heal the body. And yet again, this is not something where you're trying to replace the entire, you'll never go to the grocery store again. You can do that, but it's a little tougher. But it's a way to supplement. It's a way to supplement your diet. It's a way to provide, fresh food in the backyard in a way that's manageable. And it's something that's now don't get it wrong. This is something that doesn't happen overnight. So if you have never grown a garden before, you're starting this year, yeah, you're going to have some successes and you're going to have some failures. And so you always have to make sure that you're patient with yourself and understand that this can take years to develop the skill set and the planning necessary to grow a reasonable amount of food. But once you get to that point, like I said, the benefits are immense. And like I said, so that's why we wanted to bring this to you. And so, like, yet again, this is our first episode. This is the first part one of two. So we'll talk a little bit more about this next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about the food part that we're growing and kind of how to touch base on how to plan and like what plants might be higher yield, both from an ease of growth. As well as having really good health benefits. So we're going to put that on there as well. And as always, like I always have to tell people, I'm a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. So of course, this is meant for education, entertainment purposes only. If you need, specific medical advice, you have to go to your physician. So make sure you put that in there. Outside of that, if you have other questions, feel free to call the station, WVOE. Feel free to go to the website, www.PressureMD.com. And of course, like us or, like and follow us on Facebook as well as YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel, PressureMDAcademy. So feel free to go there, like and follow, and leave us a few comments there. We'd greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, like I said, thank you for tuning in. It's always good to see the folks out and I guess on the live stream, but also it's always great to chat with the people at WVOE. And thank you folks at WVOE for giving me the opportunity to address the audience.